Welcome to The Explainer. So, you've got an idea that could change the world. That's amazing. But here's the thing about ideas. Even the most brilliant ones need fuel. They need believers. And that's what we're talking about today. We're going to break down how you build that bridge between your vision and the people who can actually help make it real. This is all about the art of the pitch, especially for social impact startups, where it's not just about asking for cash, it's about starting a movement.
Wow, this quote from Hannah Arendt, it just hits you, right? It really gets to the heart of what we're doing here. See, social entrepreneurship, it's not just a business plan. It's an active responsibility. It's about renewal, just like she says. And your pitch? Well, that's your first real step. It's how you start to make that mission come to life. All right, here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll get into what makes a social impact pitch so special. Then, we'll break down the anatomy of a great pitch. After that, we're going to look at a real-world example with a company called LimeTree. And we'll wrap up with everything you need to know to craft your own winning pitch. Okay, let's dive right in. Pitching for a better world. And really, it all comes down to one big question. Why does your story matter more than ever?
You know, a pitch for a social impact startup, it's just different. It's not a transaction. You're not just selling something. It's an invitation. You're asking people to come on a journey with you, to really feel the problem you're trying to solve, and to believe in the solution just as much as you do. You're not just building a company, you're building a community, a coalition for change.
Okay, so we've got the why down. Now let's get into the how. The anatomy of a pitch. This is the blueprint for telling that story.
I absolutely love this definition. Think of your pitch like a movie trailer for your entire business plan. You're not giving away the whole plot, right? You're just showing them the most exciting, powerful, and intriguing clips that make them say, I have to see that movie. Your goal is exactly that, leave them wanting more.
So a typical pitch deck usually has around 11 slides, but they all follow this basic story arc. I like to think of it as a 4-act play. Act 1 sets the stage, your vision, your purpose, the why now. Act 2 introduces the conflict, the problem, and your brilliant solution. Act 3 raises the stakes, the market size, the business model, and then the finale. That's your team and what you're asking for. Each act builds on the one before it, pulling your audience in.
Now, this might look a little complicated, but it illustrates the point perfectly. A pitch is where everything comes together. You're taking all these different pieces of the puzzle, your user research, your business model, your risk analysis, all of it, and you're weaving them into one single powerful story. It's the grand finale of all your hard work.
Okay, this is your acid test. Think of these questions as the final exam for your pitch. When you're done, every single person in that room should be able to answer every one of these without hesitation. If there's any confusion, any ambiguity at all, then you've still got some homework to do.
All right, let's get our hands dirty. Theory's great, but seeing it in action is where the magic happens. We're going to dive into a case study for a company called LimeTree. They created a platform for parents to save memories for their kids. We're going to look at their actual pitch slides, the good and the maybe not so good, and see what we can pull from it.
This is it, the starting line. Before you can swoop in as the hero with the amazing solution, you absolutely have to introduce the villain. You need to make the audience feel the problem, understand its pain. That's what hooks them.
Okay, take a look at this. What I love about this slide is how simple it is. They use just 3 clear bullet points and this really charming graphic of memories just flying out of a box. It instantly gets the point across, right? The chaos of trying to keep track of all those photos and videos, it's so relatable, super effective. So what's the lesson here? Clarity is king. The message works because it's so easy to get. But, and we're just being honest here, the design could be punched up a bit. The layout feels a little unbalanced. It's a perfect example of how you can have great content, but marrying it with great design is what really makes it stick.
All right, so you've hooked them with the problem, but now the investor brain kicks in, and the next question is always going to be, okay, but is this a big enough problem? They need to know if there's a real market here, one big enough to build a real business on. And check out how LimeTree answers that. It's really smart. The map is a nice touch. It shows their focus. But the killer detail, the knockout punch, is that number. More than 10 million babies are born each year in these countries. Boom. Just like that, they've taken an abstract idea and turned it into a massive, quantifiable market. That's exactly what an investor wants to see.
So, the strategy? It's brilliant. They're not trying to boil the ocean. They have a clear, focused target market. But again, the design, it could be working harder for them. The info is solid, for sure, but a more creative design could have made this feel less like a homework assignment and more like, a treasure map.
Okay, now we get to the prove it slide. This is the one that separates the dreamers from the doers. You have to show that your idea isn't just an idea anymore. It's got legs, it has momentum. People are actually using it.
And LimeTree totally nails it here. They show you what they've already built. Yep, there's a website, there's an app, and then they hit you with the proof. These numbers, the users, the growth, that's not just data, that's evidence. This is the moment their pitch shifts from a what if to a look what's happening.
7,000 users. That number right there tells you this isn't a fantasy. It's a real thing with a real community already forming around it.
But honestly, this next number, 12% growth per week, that might be even more important because that shows momentum. It screams that not only do people want this, but the word is spreading fast every single week.
Okay, let's bring this all home. We've gone through the theory. We've picked apart a real-world example. Now let's talk about how you can take all of this and craft your winning pitch.
Look, if you remember nothing else, remember this. Keep it clear, keep it short. Tell your story, the one only you can tell. Use visuals to help, not to clutter. Back up your claims with cold, hard data. And for goodness sake, practice, practice, practice. That's the secret sauce right there. And really, this brings us right back to where we started, back to the why. Don't ever forget that all of this stuff, the spreadsheets, the slide decks, all the hours you spend practicing, it's all for something so much bigger. It's about taking these tools and using them to chip away at some of the world's biggest challenges. It's about finding that one problem that keeps you up at night and deciding, yeah, I'm going to be the one to fix that. Because at the end of the day, that's what a pitch is. It's a story. It's the story of a problem that needs solving, a solution that can change things, and a team that has the guts to make it happen. So, your idea has the power to make a real difference. The only question left is, what story are you going to tell?